Hi guys, welcome back to Love and Confetti, our weekly podcast hosted by Dani and me, where we talk about juicy stories, personal topics, and everything related to love. And welcome to today's show. I'm Arion.
I'm Dani.
And today we're going to be talking about, what's our topic, babe?
Equality.
Equality.
I don't know how to
Yes.
phrase it. So today we're gonna be talking about equality. I think that's the umbrella term. Like who leads in the relationship and what do you do if you don't have a say in the relationship?
Exactly. So, there are many relationships out there where there's a bit of unequal play of power. So some people have more say while others don't. And we're going to be addressing that today. And I think, first, I think let's talk about ourselves first. And let's just try to kind of address, do you think we ever have moments where you feel unequal or you feel like you don't have a proper say in the relationship?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
Okay.
When it comes to the kitchen, I don't get a say at all.
Yeah, so I'm a better chef than Dani. I'm just going to put that out there. So I cook for her. I've cooked for her a lot when she was here in Spain. And she never even knew she wanted a guy who could cook until she met me. That's how much,
It's true.
she loves my cooking. They say the secret to a woman's heart is through her stomach. So I live by that motto. Anyway, and so when it comes to the kitchen, Dani, sometimes she gives some inputs and I kind of just say, nope, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to try. I can't cut the vegetables because apparently I do a very bad job.
It's because, when she's in the kitchen and she starts to cut stuff and then her fingers are so close to the knife, I get paranoid. I don't want her to hurt herself, so it doesn't make me feel good watching her cut stuff. Okay, but generally speaking, babe, would you say that the relationship is unequal?
No, I don't think we have any problem in this area.
Yeah, same. So I think I'm gonna bring up the kitchen thing again, but I think in general, Dani and I, we are very we give each other a lot of freedom to express ourselves. We don't shut each other down. We don't stop each other from explaining things, from, wanting things, from asking for things. So I think there's a problem. I've seen couples where they struggle to even bring up topics to their partners, or they can't wear certain clothes, or they can't do certain things because the other person has a hold on them. So I think that's one of the biggest issues we face today with many relationships.
And is it fair to say, I don't want to stereotype, but usually it's guys who lead the relationship? And this has so much history into it.
Yeah.
Men are breadwinners and therefore they get most of the say and women kind of just follow around.
I think it was the case. I think it's becoming less and less so because there's a lot of feminist movements where people are saying, okay, we got to have equality in everything, right? In jobs and pay. So that kind of translates into relationships too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I feel like the core issue there isn't even because, it's a man thing. It's a gender role that men have to be the leaders of relationships. I think the core issue there is that the men were the breadwinners and therefore they had the dough, they had the money. Because you can control, what they spend, what they buy.
Yeah.
So I think money is an important factor here.
Okay, so for this episode, let's limit our conversation to the relationship. Okay, let's not touch on if you're married and stuff because we don't have
of course,
any experience there. On the lighter side, for example, gender roles can be usually the guy pays for the date, the guy drives, the women I guess plan. They're the planners. Where do you want to go today? What do we do today? So what else is there?
Well, I think, for example, the men, they want to feel like men. I mean, I know it sounds very basic, but basically they don't want to feel like they can't do those things, they can't provide. I feel like a man feels insecure when he cannot, do what you just mentioned, what society deems normal for a man, when he starts to feel useless as a man. And women are becoming more and more independent, and that suddenly starts to become a struggle. So I'm going to touch up on one thing, okay, which is the gender role of relationships. Many times for men, they start to feel emasculated.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because first, maybe the woman is not making the man feel like a man. She's kind of example, she could be a tomboy. So she's very, tough, right? She doesn't need like sweet affection. She doesn't need to be baby talked. So already that's like, it sets a different dynamic in the relationship. Then you have moments where maybe the woman makes more money than the man.
Yeah.
And that also can make a man insecure. So in that instance, in the examples I'm giving, the woman is in charge. She is the head of the relationship. She has all the say.
Yeah.
So what to do in a relationship like that? Well, I guess what I would do, for example, is I would find, or at least I would fill a role in which needs filling. So
Okay.
the woman can't do everything, right? So let's say, okay, we're not going to touch up on marriage, but I'm just going to bring it up lightly. Let's say if the woman is the breadwinner in the house, then it shouldn't be deemed bad if the dad is the one who raises the kids. I think it should be socially acceptable, and it should be.
Yeah, I think that's very common now anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's something that should be acceptable. Anyway, and well, that's just one example where I feel like the woman is in charge. Now, what about when the man is in charge?
On the light side, it's usually when it's like the guy controls the whole relationship in a way that he can say, like, for example, you can't wear these kinds of clothes, or you're not allowed to go with your friends. He's basically like in general dominant. So it's like wherever he goes, I'll just follow. If he wants to go here, okay, we'll go here. If he wants to watch this movie, okay, we'll watch this movie.
So it's like when he's trying to control every piece of what you do, or like what you do together, he's in charge.
Or usually it's, I mean, like, if we're only narrowing it down to like the relationship scenario. But for example, in marriage, it's very common na if the guy is the breadwinner, then of course, then the woman is like the homemaker, the one who raises the kids, blah blah blah. So it's like traditionally the man would get to say like what we spend our money on, or I don't know, just in general. Like personally, I wasn't brought up in that box, so I can't really say what the guy does, what the woman does. This is just like
Yeah.
in general, like my general idea of stuff.
I think our parents are both like they have equal
Yeah.
say in the house.
Yeah, they have like different roles.
Exactly. So I think the most important thing is to give the other person the opportunity to show their strengths. I think that's the most important thing. So when one party in the relationship is just doing everything and the other person's not doing anything, then obviously there's a problem there too. And that's why there's inequality in power, because one person's just doing way too much and the other person's not doing it all. But I think when there's equality in strengths and you let that person play on his strengths or her strengths, then they can actually, they don't feel like there's an inequality. So for
Okay.
example, when it comes to like what we're doing now, podcasting, I'm so new to this. I'm so new to social media. I'm not a social media guy. If you look at my Instagram, I post every 3 months or something. I'm very inactive there. And when it comes to things we do on the internet, it's really not my strength. But I play along, I try my best, but I know it's really Dani's strength. And I let her shine in that. I let her do what she needs to do. And again, like when it comes to the kitchen, that's my strength, right? So
Yeah.
so she lets me shine there.
Okay, let's give like a concrete example. Let's say when we travel. How are we like when we travel?
I think, okay, so this is a nice example because when we travel, we're kind of a bit of both. So we
Yeah.
compromise. And that's another good thing about us. And, like in other relationships or in some relationships, there's a lack of compromise. So it's like, I want it my way, but then you don't find a middle ground. So in
Yeah.
our case, when we travel, like, for example, me, I like to wander. I don't really want to have like a concrete 100% plan that we need to see all these spots today at these certain times with a full itinerary. I kind of just want to say, okay, I feel like going here now. And then we're just going to like explore, take photos, and then, let's try to touch up on these places. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm the type where like I have to have a plan. So even before the trip, like let's say a week before the trip, I already have a plan, what to see, where to eat, what to wear, what kind of photos to take. Like I have all that in mind already. And so we kind of, I guess, we didn't clash in that sense, but then we had different lifestyles, different personalities.
I think we found that middle ground, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So like right now, Danny's more laid back. And I'm
Yeah.
more like, okay, we'll follow the plan as much as possible.
yeah, but I can't say that either one of us like really led, during the travel. It was kind of like an
Equal. Yeah.
equal thing.
Yeah, that's why. So we kind of we're lucky in that sense where we don't clash and we don't feel like the other person has more say than the other. right? So actually, I'm gonna bring up an example of where I feel like there's no say in a relationship. So I have a friend, and she has a taste for the nice, finer things in life, right? And she dates men who are really well off. Now this becomes an issue because, well, every time she dates them, she hardly has a say in things. Like almost to a point where it's really bad. She feels anxious. She feels terrible because, well, it's also she's asking for it because she's looking for these kind of men. But like they decide what to do. They decide where to eat. They decide where to stay. They decide everything. Okay. And I think the only thing she can decide is like what she's gonna wear to to see them. That's about it. Because they even pay for her tickets to travel. And I feel like there comes a point where you kind of have to stop and say, look, I need to kind of show that I'm worth more than just money. You can't just buy me, right? So I've told her many times that you have to establish yourself. You can't let the guy pay for everything. Thing is, they kind of insist, even though when she offers, they insist. But I think it's become a habit already, and it's also hard for her to break that habit. But it will really pose a problem in the future because she does not have a say in many things. And it's already starting now. Imagine how it's going to be like in the future.
I'm going to jump in with my own example. Okay, I have a friend who, she's a very strong personality and she likes going for guys who are softer, I guess, more submissive. So for example, concrete example, the guy will be carrying her things. I don't want to say like the guy's kind of a lapdog, but for example, the last say will be her. If ever she has issues, she'll voice out her issues. The guy would kind of be quiet and be like, I'm sorry, but he's not going to fight back. And I guess it really did cause a strain in their relationship to the point where they had to break up because of other things, not just that. But my point is, there was some sort of inequality during the relationship, which was very evident to everyone. I guess not to them. They didn't see it that way until after they broke up when they looked back and reflected. But I think that a lot of their issues, you could kind of root back to that. So this happens in a lot of relationships. And even if you aren't really seeing it, I mean, I wouldn't say that this is super common. Like every relationship will have this. Sometimes you'll be lucky you won't because you'll effortlessly match. But there are some relationships where it really is a problem. And I think that, it's important to realize it, to see if there is this kind of thing that's happening in your relationship because it's easy to kind of just, I don't know, take it as it is. You don't really see it because you're so used to the dynamic. We're kind of just freestyling, honestly. We didn't really plan this episode.
That's okay. It's okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you a lot. I think that, you have to kind of reflect and say, okay, do I have this in my relationship? Do I have this problem right now? And I feel like I've had relationships where I feel like I didn't have as much say as I do now. So there are moments where you have that. And I really feel like, honestly, guys, reflect, look at your relationships, and let your partner shine.
Okay, I'll give another example.
Yeah.
Concrete example, because this topic is kind of vague. So I guess we have to really give concrete examples for you to visualize, is this me? I know a couple where, for example, the last say will always be the girl. So for example, the guy would be like, I want to do this and this and this. And then the girl would be like, no, because blah, blah, blah. Or let's say his friends go like, hey, you want to hang out and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, oh, I have to ask, my partner. Things like that. Point is, even if the guy wants his own thing, the girl usually has the last say. And I guess guy might feel in a way emasculated.
Okay. Well, no, okay, but that's another thing actually I wanted to mention. Like what you said, you asking your partner if it's okay to go out. Now, there's a difference between feeling out of control, out of power, and there's respecting your partner's wishes and respecting what your partner might want, right? So for example, with me, in many cases, I ask Dani, certain things like permission or stuff, not because I feel like I can't just do it myself, but because I respect her enough to want to have her approval or her opinion on something. So there's also that difference. It's about respect too. So you need to realize, are you doing it out of respect or are you doing it out of, I would say, guilt even, because you feel like you can't do anything, or fear.
Yeah.
So you have to also look into that and just really reflect. Are you doing this to your partner or are you receiving this from your partner?
I want to bring something up which I actually just researched about, I think a few days ago. So this is about masculine and feminine energy, okay? like, I'm a feminist, but I believe that there is masculine and feminine energy that's inherent in all of us, okay? So masculine energy is like, testosterone, right? So it's like moving forward. It's like, being dominant, being progressive, being competitive. Feminine energy is more like it's loving, it's nurturing, it's playful, kind of like it brings peace or harmony in the relationship. So I'm not talking about man and woman. This is not man and woman as a whole. This
Yeah.
is like the energy, okay? This is like biological. This is science, okay? This is biological, physiological, psychological, all that. And it's not saying like one is better than the other. It's not saying that men are better because they're more dominant and women are, in a way more submissive. They're supposed to complement each other, okay? It's like yin and yang. Like there is no better. You can only kind of, I guess, find a balance. So a lot of times, like these roles get switched. Like men, sometimes they're told to like just sit down, shut up, be a good boy, okay? And sometimes women are told like you have to compete more, you have to be more, you have to be empowered, you have to be stronger. But I guess like equality, it sounds good, in theory, on paper, it sounds good. But I think that there's a reason why there should be, that dynamic. So like in a nutshell, usually a man's role is, I guess, to provide protection, provide safety, and that has like so much history into it. Like that's evolution. And women is kind of to provide nurture and care and playfulness into the relationship. So men and women are not equal in dominance, okay? But they should be equal in like value and importance. And that's where I guess a lot of feminists get it wrong, because you're always being told like to be more than a man. Okay, it's not supposed to be, what do you call that? It's not supposed, there's no hierarchy. It's supposed to be like a seesaw. Like, sometimes you're dominant, sometimes I'm dominant, but it's not like I'm better than you. It's not a contest. You're supposed to be equal.
Exactly.
It's when
It's
you,
not a
yeah,
competition.
it's when you kind of see it as like I'm better than you, or I'm higher than you, I'm more dominant than you. Then that's where the problem is, because you kind of see the relationship as a competition. It's not you're my partner anymore. It's kind of like someone becomes a boss. Okay, so, I mean, you know what? Like, if you're happy with your dynamic, then go ahead, do whatever that's working for you. I'm just saying this as, like, if it is an issue, this is, like, an alternative way. So, like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't let your ego take control, okay? You should be happy in the relationship, like, with the person you're with, not thinking, like, am I better? Am I more than my partner?
Or
It's
am I
like,
worse?
yeah. So it's like, it should be a joint victory. It shouldn't be like, am I better than my partner? Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with my rant. I'm done with my rant. You take it.
Well said, babe. Well said. So, yeah, no, I agree with you completely. And I think, yeah, there is energy, female and male energy in
Of course,
the world.
like,
And
and everyone can have both. I have a
Exactly.
lot of masculine energy. Okay, I'm always like, I don't know, the
I
word,
know.
like, fiery.
I know.
Yeah, and Arion has a lot of feminine energy. You can have both, but it's, I guess, when you try to like emulate a certain energy, like when you try to, I guess, like go against your nature, when you try to become the other. So
No,
that's where the problem
this can be
lies.
this can be found in all relationships, masculine and feminine energy. You can even find it in, LGBTQ relationships. So you can have that unequal play of power in all relationships.
Yeah, this isn't just men and women. Okay.
Exactly.
This is relationships in general.
Exactly. So I think we touched up on a lot today. I think our general point is, if you guys recognize that you have this problem, or you've had these problems, reflect and look back and really try to pinpoint what those problems were and how you can resolve those problems for the
Yeah.
future. And honestly, like, my biggest advice, like I've been repeating it several times, is to really let your partner shine. Let your partner do what your partner does best. Because
Yeah.
if you don't let them, then they're not going to feel happy. That's the reality. They won't feel happy because they're not doing what makes them happy.
Okay, so takeaway for me is like, it's healthy if you know your purpose in the relationship. It's not healthy if you, I guess, box yourself into like this role where I'm a woman and I should be the homemaker, and I'm the man, I should be the breadwinner, I should be the leader. Okay, you can't have both. It's like, for example, in our relationship, like sometimes I'm the alpha, sometimes Ariane's the alpha, and it's like, it's not like I'll follow you because I feel like I'm obligated to follow you. I follow you because like I like seeing you lead. And sometimes it'll be
Because
the
you
other way.
respect me.
Yeah, and because I like that I have a man who can. It's like, I like that you're dominant. And that's why I went for you. Otherwise, I would have gone for someone who was vanilla.
A little more mellow.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like I let you do your thing, and you let me do my thing. So I think that
Because I also like seeing a woman take charge. I
yeah.
love that. And that's why I went for you. Because I feel like when I see Dani like doing her thing and her eyes just shine when she's talking about something she loves, and she's like very like like, okay, we got to do this, babe. Okay, we're going to do it like this, okay, babe. And I'm like, okay, babe. And I'm like, I really love seeing her like that, it makes me, I guess I would say it's a turn on.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
actually funny because we were talking about like our signs. So Ariana's an Aries, so he's a fire sign. I'm a Taurus, so I'm like an earth sign. But then the element, sorry, we were talking about elements. So Ariana's first element would be, because he's an Aries, he's fire. My element would be earth because I'm a Taurus. And then I think Ariana's I guess secondary element would be water because he's kind of like the peacemaker. He's kind of more
So
chill.
I'm in touch with my emotions too.
Yeah. And my secondary element would be fire because I'm kind of always like go go go. What are we gonna do now?
If I had to describe Dani, she's girl boss, like totally queen. You know what I mean? So, so when she wants something, she will fight and she'll get what she wants.
Yeah.
And I love that about her. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it was insightful. And I hope you don't have these problems with your partner because it's not something that's enjoyable for anyone. But if you do, I hope you find this helpful, and I really hope that you learn something from this and you can try to apply this to your relationships. With that said, one little final question. Do you want to take charge of the kitchen, babe?
I'll leave it up to you. 'Cause I know
Okay.
that you're gonna make better food anyway.
Okay. Anyway, so, well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. And remember to tune in weekly.
Yeah. So we'll catch you in the next episode. This was Love and Confetti.
Take care. Thank you
Bye
so
guys. Thanks
much.
for listening.
Bye.